Today I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and this is the National Corvette Museum. Let's go inside for a tour.
That car right behind you, I want to talk about that because that's a 53 that we own. All of our cars in the museum are either donated or on loan. If a car gets donated to us, it will always stay in the museum. We can't take that car to Barrett-Jackson or Mecum and sell it. It has to stay here. That's the agreement that we have with the owner. That car will always stay here. If it's on loan, it might be here a year or two and then it'll go back to the owner. That car was just restored. We've had it out here for about a week. It was back in maintenance that I'll tell you about. They really worked on this car. They painted it and did all kinds of things. It was a 1994, and the reason we got this car is that before we opened up the museum in 1994, there was an individual that owned this car, and he said, if you'd build a museum, I'll donate my car to you. A pretty good trade-off, because that car today, according to Barrett-Jackson or Mecum auction, you're looking at about $400,000 or $500,000 or more. And that car was $3,500 new. Went from $3,500 to about $500,000 or more. So, because there are not very many left. They only built 300. And we own 2 of them. So, not very many cars. We don't know how many left worldwide. I'd be surprised if there were 10. We know there's 3 or 4, but you never know. There could be one over in a barn somewhere in Europe. Sometimes that happens. But this car, it's got a lot of restoring on it. And when we got this car, it had very few miles on it, and very few after that, because we start the cars up, but we really don't drive them that much, so very few miles. This car would probably be at least 500 or 600, depending on who's at the auction again. You never know. So I want to tell you about that car. Now, the way they came up with the word Corvette was very unusual. General Motors, they had the design and the engineering for the car in 1952, but they didn't have a name for the car yet. Which was kind of unusual. They ran a contest amongst their employees to figure out a name, but that really didn't work very well, because what General Motors wanted, they wanted something to start with a C to match Chevrolet. Come this way and I'll tell you what they did. We're going to go around this way and come around this way. What they did, Myron Scott, underneath Corvette, Myron Scott was a photographer for the Chevrolet Public Relations Department. And what he did, he got a dictionary out, and he was going through the C's, and he saw Corvette. Now, the reason that ship is there, that was a British warship during World War II, and it was called the Corvette. He kind of liked the sound of that. Myron Scott did send it into corporate. They've liked it, been that way for 72 years, but it came out of a dictionary. And they did build a 70th anniversary, yeah, 2 years ago. It was a big year for General Motors. So they built a 70th anniversary just the 1 year. They built it in black and white, and I'm going to show you that car. It's right next to the E-Ray back in our Skydome. We'll talk about that.
I got a black one.
Did you?
Yeah.
The 70th? Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We saw quite a few come through on museum deliveries, the 70th. It's kind of a special car. It's got the Z06 engine, got the bigger engine. And they did a little bit of difference, as far as I know, you could tell me, on the interior of the car is a little bit different than the other cars.
Mine has a porcelain looking interior.
Yeah. And the wheels were a little different too, weren't they?
Yeah, they have special wheels.
Special wheels, yeah. Made it real nice. Do you love that mid-engine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't? Every buyer that I've talked to, and I mean every single buyer that had a C7 or C6, and there's nothing wrong with a front engine car,
No.
but when they moved it to the back, that took care of that. I mean, the performance on these cars are just outstanding, and everybody tells me that. So they're going to leave it back there, I'm sure. I don't think you're going to see a front engine. But anyway, that came out of a dictionary, so that was pretty rare, and that's what happened. And by the way, it is the longest consistently built passenger car in the world. Now, there's other car manufacturers out there older than 72 years, but the key word there that I use is consistently built for 72 years. No other car can say that, so that's something General Motors are very proud of as far as a passenger car. Now, this is the last of the front engine cars, because all these cars are mid-engine now, And this is a 2019. That was C7. Went from 14 to 19, and then they changed the style. This is the ZR1. Anytime you see ZR, that's Zora Racing, and we're going to talk about Zora Arkus-Duntov here in a minute. This car here has 755 horsepower. This car will get up and move. Not as fast as the 1064 horse. Beautiful color.
Yeah, what is that color? Is it a gray?
Yeah, but there's a name for it, and I don't know. The new one is Seawolf gray, but it's not the Seawolf. It doesn't tell me on this. I'd have to find out for you. I'm not for sure about the color. They change the color. You know how they do. They'll come out with the blue, and then the next year they'll come out with a different blue and then change the name. But this new one is the Seawolf. But beautiful color, yeah. And this car is owned by General Motors, and they just wanted to bring it in because this is the last of the front engine cars. I used to have to point out that picture to everybody because we didn't have the 1064 horsepower out here. We just had these cars out here just for, well, just the last few days. So, but you can kind of see it. It does have the carbon fiber windows in the back for more cooling system. It has 7,000 RPMs. And that car is going to start at about 185, what I've been told, 185. Now, time you get your options in it, you're looking at about 220. So you could almost buy 2 Corvettes for the price of that one. You really could. 80, 90,000. You can, and then, but you know what? They'll sell it. Collectors will buy it. I mean, like I said, we've had already 4 or 5, so it'll sell. It's not limited production. So now this car here was one of them that went down the sinkhole. I'm going to talk about the sinkhole when we get back there. There were 8 cars. There's a video back close to the Sky Dome, but there's a video I'll talk to you about. This is one of them that went down the hole, but it didn't go all the way down. It kind of just stayed at the top. It was damaged a little bit on the bottom. There were 5 cars that went all the way down 35 feet, and they were crushed. We found them and brought them up, and I'll talk to you about those. This one kind of just stayed at the top along with 2 others, and we were able to restore it. It's called the Blue Devil, and the reason they came up with that name, that was the mascot of Duke University, and that was the alma mater of then the CEO of General Motors. So they kind of came up with that word. He owns the car today. It is on loan. This car was the fastest car they built up to 2009. It had 638 horsepower in it. Of course, not going to be as fast as the ZR1 today. That car there is no telling how fast that is. Probably 0 to 60 miles an hour and under 2.0 or right in that time frame. So, but anyway, we have this car on loan and it'll go back to General Motors. But this car was very expensive at the time too. Has a lot of options on it. This car was over $100,000. So this is on loan. It'll go back probably into the year to General Motors. Now, the Motorama show was held in New York at the Waldorf Astoria, big show from 1954 to 1949 to 1961, I believe it was. And big show. Cars came from all over the world. You can see the individuals getting ready to go in the ballroom. General Motors, they took their 1953 to the show because there was a lot of publicity about that 53. But when they got there, they had to take the emblem off the car. Not this emblem, but I'm going to tell you why. It was disallowed, and they had to come up with another emblem. And I'll show you why in here. It wasn't a big deal, and I think they kind of knew that was going to happen. The emblem was not allowed because of the reason I'm going to tell you. That's the Motorama show from 49 to 61. And then this is the Motorama show. This is 1953 car. There it is right there. And they brought it out to let everybody look at it. I want to show you this emblem. If you'll notice, there's an American flag on there, and that was disallowed. It was federal regulations. You couldn't have an American flag on a commercial vehicle at that show because that was advertising. And they didn't want that. They had cars from all over the world, so they had to take that off. And they put this one on that car. This is the fleur-de-lis. It means, in French, it means royalty. So that went on that car, that came off. Cost them about a day, but they kind of knew that was going to happen. Now the 53 was just a straight 6. It really didn't sell very well, the 53. And I know $3,500 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it kind of was back then. And then in 54, when they came out in 1954, they lowered the price to about $2,700, but it was a straight 6 also. It didn't have the power. It didn't sell very well. So they had 2 poor years of sales, the 53 and the 54, and they were going to discontinue building Corvettes. The only reason they didn't, main reason, was the Thunderbird. Thunderbird came out with a 1955 V8 engine, sold a lot of Thunderbirds. So Zora Arkus-Duntov, that we're going to talk about, the godfather of the Corvette, decided to compete with the Thunderbird. And the way he did that was a 55 Corvette V8 engine. That's when the V8 started, and that was Zora Arkus-Duntov. because he felt like, well, let's don't discontinue building the Corvette, let's compete with the Thunderbird. And it was priced about the same. So wasn't for the Thunderbird around, we probably wouldn't be here today. That's a true story, Thunderbird and Zora Arkus-Duntov. All right, let's come around here. This is a 61. 60, 61, and 62 is the only 3 years that I can find in the booklet where they had the Honduras maroon. This is a beautiful color. I'm hoping they'll bring this back one day. They had a color similar to this a few years ago on the C7, but this is a pretty color. And this car has a lot of style to it. It won 2 awards. It won the Duntov Award, and it won the 5-star bow tie award. There's only 4 Corvettes that's ever won that. And it's mainly for styling. It has a little bit different style in front. And doesn't have very many miles on it. The family brought this car in about 3 weeks ago, and they said, well, we're going to loan it to you. We were hoping it was going to get donated, but it's on loan. And it's going to be here till the end of the year, and then it's going to go back to the family. But it's a really neat car. Anytime you see 60s, and we're going to talk about the 60s next, some of these cars will go for a lot of money at an auction. I've seen some go for $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 if they're in real good condition. So this car here, I don't know what they're going to do with it. Probably going to stay with the family. Now the bicycles are really neat. Those are 1954. Swin got permission from General Motors to put Corvette by the pedal there. We own both of those bicycles, and we own all the toys. And if you're familiar with American Pickers on TV, they always talk about not just the toy, but the box that it came in. They said if the box is in real good condition, that just triples the price of the toy. Well, all of these are in perfect condition. You can see the Barbie doll, that's a real collector. Route 66, I don't know if we have anybody old enough to remember 1964, 65, 66, there was a TV show. Remember that? It was on television. That's a real treasure there. And then Chuck Norris has his car and some of the others. But all of these are in really good condition, not just the toys, but the box. We own all these. These are metal toys. They're not plastic. Everything's plastic today. Those are metal. So those are kind of a keepsake. Now, Zora Arkus-Duntov, I want to talk about him because he's the godfather of the Corvette, first lady of the Corvette. Without him, we probably wouldn't even be here today because he's the guy that competed with the Thunderbird in the 1955 Thunderbird. He came out with a 55 Corvette, was a V8 engine. And then Zora Arkus-Duntov, both of those individuals are inducted in our Hall of Fame that I'll show you in a little bit. He loved to race. This video shows him racing. He raced all over the world. And he was here in Bowling Green in 1994 for the ribbon cutting. He was invited here. He was here for the museum. The museum was very small then, but he came for the opening. That was in 94. And then in 96, he passed away 2 years later. Now, this was in his will. He wanted to be cremated. He wanted his ashes to be buried in the museum. His ashes are in that big urn. His lovely wife passed away in 2008. She was cremated and her ashes are on top there. That's what the man wanted, so that's what we're going to do. Godfather Corvette, we're not going to tell him no. Without him, we wouldn't probably even be here. This guy was so far ahead of everybody else when it came to engineering. We salute him as an engineering genius. In fact, this guy talked about mid-engines back in the 60s. And I'm going to show you a 1962 car where he moved the engine clear to the back, rear-mounted engine. And, you know, nobody was thinking about that. So he was way ahead of everybody else. And that's why we salute him as an engineering genius. And I think there's still a book in our store about Zora Arkus-Duntov, and it's pretty interesting. This guy was, like I said, when it came to engineering, he was a genius on that. Now, this car here, I got to tell you about this. This was very unusual history behind this. You're going to love this story. This is the 1954 that we own. We own 254s and 253s, so very fortunate to have that, own them. They were donated to us. This car was owned by an individual that lived in Maine, and he owned a grocery store. He didn't drive the car very much, and his wife didn't like the car. She wasn't going to drive it. So what he did, and it's going to sound a little strange, he entombed this car in his grocery store. He built a brick wall just like this, covered it all up. One thing that he did that probably brought customers into the store, we have a window here. He had a window. I'm sure customers came in, looked at that car. He probably did it on purpose, so they'd shop with him. So he did that for several years, and then they sold the grocery store, had to tear the wall down to get to the car. And then the car was inherited by the daughter who lives in Florida. Now, if you think this is strange, guess where she put it? She put it in her living room. And then a collector got word that she had the car, made an offer she couldn't refuse, sold it to the collector, and then that's the reason we've got the car, because it is a strange story, and the collector, very nice of him, he donated the car to us. Now, all these blemishes on the car, we're going to leave everything just like it is, just like it was in Maine. We're not going to restore the car because that would take away the history. This car has 2,400 miles on it today because he just didn't drive it. You know, it was entombed. So we had a lot of problems with that engine. We had to pull it out and really work on that car. It does run today. All of our cars in the museum, every car you see in here, we do start them up. We take them into a maintenance area that I'm going to show you, and that's where we change the oil, rotate tires, tune them up, whatever. Because you do have to start them up. You can't let them just sit here. Now let me show you this real quick.
Sick, dude. Yeah. So you take
Corvette. There are a number of stories about various cars out there.
Okay, this is when they tore the wall down. He sold the grocery store, and they're tearing the wall down to get to this car. And by the way, this car looks exactly the same now as it did then because we're not going to restore it. There's the car there, looking at the tail end. They got it propped up and just inspecting the car, inspecting it there. There's his window. So I'm sure customers probably came in to look at the car. I imagine that's why I did it. And then there's the daughter and the granddaughter, and there are the drapes. This is inside of her living room. Got the hood up. Can you imagine that? I don't know why she'd do that. It runs in the family, I guess, because he entombed it in his grocery store, and she puts it in her. But that's the reason we got the car, because it does have a strange story. And the man that collected it, he was nice enough to donate the car to us. And to have two 54s and two 53s, that's extremely rare. Donated to us. So we own the car today, and it does run. Now, does anybody, you own a Corvette? Somebody owned a Corvette. You had a 70th.
Right now I got a 23. My first one was a 65.
Oh, I love 60s. We're going to talk about the 60s. I love the 60s. And you had a car? No. Yeah.
I have a 2010.
2010.
My dad was a big Corvette enthusiast, and I can hardly wait to get here.
Uh-huh.
He had a 1963 split window Stingray.
Oh, did he have a split window? Does he still have it?
Well,
Ooh.
they got divorced, and he had to sell it.
Oh.
It was gold on gold.
Oh, man.
Well, I won't tell you what that car's worth today because I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. You know, it's the only year they built it, split window. It just didn't work for them. And there wasn't a whole lot of those left, but we have one here that was donated to us. And that car, well, they had one similar like it at Meekum auction, sold for $250,000. I hate to tell you that, but it would. At least that.
And he had a 79.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to tell you about the 79. That was a huge, huge year at St. Louis. So, and you have a...
The 08 Z06.
Okay, you got the Z06, got that big engine.
What year? 08.
08 Z06. Okay.
I had to learn how to drive mine.
Yeah, you had...
Stick.
Yeah.
2010,
Yeah, well, it's automatic, so you don't have to worry about manual, because from 2020 on, it's just automatic transmission. Well, the reason I ask, the 60s were, this is what put us on the map. Somebody said they had a 68 or whatever.
I had a 65 and a 66.
Okay. Well, I love them because from 63 to 67 was a mid-year. I don't know if you know that or not, but that was mid-year. Only 5 years of the car, and then they changed the style. So all of these are mid-year, 67, 66, 64. We own all three of these cars. They were donated to us, so we're very lucky. And they're in mint condition. This has had a little bit of restoring on it, but not a lot. They built about 23,000 cars of this one. And like I said, this is when they really sold cars, because the first two didn't sell very well. And these cars were neat. Now, as you know, they weren't comfortable to drive. They didn't build them for comfort, like a new car, but they were fun to drive. They'd get up and move. That car there, we're very fortunate to have it because that came from a collector. Anytime we get a car from a collector, that is really neat because usually collectors don't drive the cars very much, especially if they have 40 or 50 cars or whatever. They start them up, but they don't drive them. So that has very low mileage. So that car there would be worth a lot of money, but it was donated to us. And then this car was donated to us. But we own all three of these cars. And if I'm going to show you a 1967 L88, anybody remember the L88 67? Priceless. I'm going to show you, Zora Arkus-Duntov created that car. I'm going to show you that today too. And then a 62 that went down in the Sinkhole. So we have a lot of 60s, but in this condition, boy, you know, these are really neat cars. That has very few miles on it, so that car, no telling what that would be worth, but it's been donated. Now inside of here, this is where I was going to tell you about if you're interested in the assembly plant, since we can't go through the assembly plant, if you go in here and go clear on back, there's a video of that. You can see it in about 10 minutes. It'll show you each stop that we make. That's the best we can do right now until they open that up. There's also computers in here that are a lot of fun to work. So this is more of an individual tour. So if you want to come back to this later on, My tour is about an hour, but this will take you maybe 15 minutes, whatever if you want to do this. Okay, let's go this way. This is the brick that came out of Flint, Michigan. They tore that plant down. They tore down the St. Louis plant. This is the only Corvette assembly plant in the world. Chief engineer of this car was Zora Arkus-Duntov, and we're going to talk about the 70s here in just a minute. Somebody had a 79. Yeah, I want to tell you about that. That's really unique. This is the 53 Corvette. Now, I don't think I told you previously, they only built that in white with red interior. Today, there's 12 body colors. Get a lot of choices today on options, but back then, white with red, that's it. And we own 2 of them, so not very many of those left worldwide. Now, the 70s, what I was going to tell you over here, we own all 3 of these cars. This is a 79. Now, what is so big about the 79 is they built over 53,000 cars in St. Louis, from 1954 to 81. That was in St. Louis. Then they moved it from 81, they moved it here because they ran out of room in St. Louis. So, but they built a lot of cars in St. Louis. I don't think you'll ever see 53,000 Corvettes being made in a year. I just don't think it'll happen. They kind of hold it at around 40, 42, 43. But they built over 53,000 of this one. It was a lot of cars in St. Louis. And they sold a car. The only thing about the 70s, they didn't have a lot of horsepower. This had 225, that had 165, and that was the last of the takeoff tops. It came back in I think it says in when did that happen? 1986. And another thing about it is that was a huge generation. It started in 1982, and it went through, let's see, I'm trying to figure this out. It was 15 years. Look real quick. I don't want to get this right. That was a huge part. 63 to 82. 1968 through 82. That's 15 years. That's a long time for a generation. I don't think that'll ever happen again. Usually it's 7, 8 years, but 68 through 82, then they changed the style. So that was another big thing in St. Louis. So this one right here is a record-breaking 53,000 cars. That car is pretty neat. If you'll notice the license plate, it says Libby. Well, Libby was a young girl. She was probably, they tell me she was in junior high school, and she loved Corvettes. That's all she could talk about. So her parents told her that if she'd make good grades in high school and go on to college and make good grades, they would buy her a Corvette. A promise delivered. That's what that car is called, a promise delivered. And they bought her a Corvette. She got her name on the front. She drove that car for many years, and then Libby decided to donate it to us. So that was a pretty neat little deal that her parents decided. She made good grades, but that's all she could talk about was Corvettes. And you would think that's kind of unusual for a junior high girl, but she liked it. So anyway, there it is. So we own the car today, by the way. She donated to us. She's, of course, older now, and so we own the car. So all 3 of these we own. So a lot of cars in the 70s. Yeah, red, white, and blue. Kind of neat. They kind of set that up that way. So anyway, we own it. And like I said, this came back in 86, the body style. But the Corvette convertible, they had them back then in 75, then it went away, then it came back in 86. But you can see that top would come on. Not like the tops today. Tops today, you just press a button on the inside and it all just kind of folds in and out. It's really neat. All right, now I don't know what your time frame is. My tour is about an hour, and so what we're going to go through is this a little bit faster. I know you don't want to stop at every single car and want me to read all that.
Do you have a 57 in here?
I'm trying to think. We got a 59. I don't think we've got a 57. Let me look in the Sky Dome. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We've got a 59 for sure. Yeah.
A friend of mine
Had a 57.
wanted me to get a picture.
If you know somebody that wants to loan her 57, we probably.
I got somebody probably wants one.
Yeah. Now, what you can do if you come back here, you might not have time to do this. This will take you at least 20, 30 minutes if you pick out 3 or 4 cars. I know you're probably not going to look at every car because there's a lot to read. But these are interactive touchscreens. You just have to hit the button. It'll come up there and tell you all about it. So I'm going to point out a couple of cars that I think you'd be interested in if you've got an extra, like I said, few minutes. These 2 cars have a lot of history. And this car right here is a Z06. It's a split window. I wish they'd turn that car around. I've got another split window I'm going to show you, but this is the split window. but this is a little different than what he had because this is a racing car. It's got 38-gallon tank on it. It's got the Z06 engine. And Roger Penske owned this car at one time, sold it to Leon Hurd, and then Leon Hurd donated it to us. So we own the car. But I'm going to show you another split window that's the original. But this car, it would be worth a lot of money. There's not a lot of those left, and it was hand-built, so pretty neat. So if you come back, hit the car right here, and it'll flash up there and tell you all about it. We own that car. All right, we're going to skip these, and we're going to go to this car down here, and then if you want to come back to this, you're more than welcome to do it. Your wristbands are good till 5 o'clock. I want to point out Tommy Morrison. He's got all of his history right there in case there was a wreck. Blood type, no allergies. Well, you know, back then. Well, the reason he had that, he drove this car. It was a 24-hour world speed endurance record. He and his, of course, they had the other drivers because 24 hours straight, and engineers. But he drove that car and broke the record after 50 years. He averaged 175 miles an hour in 1990 in that car, Tommy Morrison. He was quite the driver. And of course, there was other drivers too. It'll flash up here in just a minute and kind of show you. It should come on here in just a second. There it is. He averaged 175 miles an hour, 24-hour world speed endurance record in 1990. And Tommy Morrison passed away about 3-4 years ago, donated his helmet to us. This car is on loan, but there he is there. But that was quite a record in being broke. And 175 miles an hour, pretty fast to average in you know, back in 1990. So if you come back in this area, hit the record run on this car. I would suggest that one. Okay, let's go this way. Now I want to show you the 63 split back. There it is. Yeah, now I'm going to break your heart, hon. I'm going to break your heart. Come this way. Now this is the split window, because a lot of our customers, they don't understand what a split window is. And they only built it 1 year. The visibility for the driver was not real good. There was some issues with it. Bill Mitchell designed the car, and I'm going to talk about Bill Mitchell here in just a second. It's a fuel injection, which is nice. What makes this car worth a lot of money is it has very low mileage. The man that drove this, he really didn't drive it. He would take it to different shows, but he put it in a trailer. Well, when he brought this car in, we thought it was going to be on loan because of the value of the car. But he was very wealthy, had a lot of cars, so he donated the car to us. So we own the car today. I can't tell you what this car would sell for because it'll never go anywhere, but there was one about $250,000 last year at Mecum auction. And if you ever see a car like this, I don't think you'd see one on the highway. I really don't. You'll see it in a museum or, you know, garage somewhere. But this is in perfect condition. I mean, absolutely. I think this car would be worth more than that.
At Mecum in January.
Yeah. And Bill Mitchell's the designer.
At Mecum this year in January, one collector had like 20 of these in all different
maybe
colors.
He has my dad.
He had 20 of them.
All different colors. It was like the rainbow of 63s.
Multi-millionaire guy.
Oh yeah, they were
perfect.
Standing, all 63s. Yeah.
Well, you know, they built quite a few. I'd have to look at my book at that time. They built some. You might see some out on the highway. You might.
Right.
But normally they would go to an auction or whatever because there's not a lot of those left today.
No.
And this is in perfect condition. You can see it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And to get a donation, we were very surprised.
Let me see if I can get the whole car.
You can just tell everybody this is your car and, you know, what the heck.
You came to the Corvette to take delivery.
That's right. You're doing museum delivery, have a little... For $300,000, you can have it. Our curator probably sells it to you for... No. Well, actually, we can't. By law, we have to keep it here. But I'd say that car would go for a lot of money. Fuel injection and low mileage and all that. But it was a one-year production. And you know, of the 72 years they've been in business, that's never happened before. Usually a generation will last several years, but that just didn't. Now, Bill Mitchell, he was the second designer. Harley Earl was the first. Both of these individuals, along with Zora Arkus-Duntov, are inducted in our Hall of Fame that I'll show you in the Sky Dome. These guys were absolutely way ahead of their time. Only 7 designers, starting with Harley Earl. And like I said, Bill Mitchell designed this car here. Now this, I want to show you this because everybody says, well, mid-engine's been around a while. Yeah, it has. This is the first true mid-engine Corvette. But now, mid-engines, and I don't know who started mid-engine, it was Porsche or whoever it was, but it's been around a while. General Motors started building mid-engine in 2020, but there was, you know, several manufacturers before that. But this one is a first mid-engine. It is not a a production car because C3 was a huge year that I told you about, 15 years. They didn't want to kind of mess that up. So this was just a concept. So it'll go back to General Motors. The competitor of this car is the Ford GT40. But this is actually the first mid-engine. Then I'm going to show you where Zora Arkus-Duntov moved the engine to the back, and it was a 62. So a lot of happening back in the 60s. And then this car is a concept car. That'll go back to General Motors. You can see the shape of the car. It's an Astrovet. They were working on aerodynamics back then, and the purpose of the study was to see how slippery a Corvette could be made. And you can see it's a little bit different. It does have an engine. It does run. It is a concept car, the one and only, so that car will never go to an auction. It'll go back to General Motors at the end of the year. So we just have it on loan. Both of these cars are concept cars, so one and only. Now there's a lot of different colors. This year they came out with a new yellow, a little bit brighter than that. They came out with a new orange, and they came out with a purple. I don't know if you've seen the purple or not. Purple almost looks like navy indoors. We had one here a couple days ago, but when you take it outdoors and the sunlight hits it, it's purple. It really looks, yeah, it looks good. So and by the way, for 2026, they're coming out with a cacti. It's a real light green, and they're coming out with a metallic one too, green. And then another color, I don't know what that's going to be. We're going to know on 1st of August, but they're coming out with a cacti. And I know that doesn't sound like but it's pretty nice. Tan interior, it looks good. So 2026, 3 new colors. Now the number 1 color, what do you think that number 1 color is?
Red.
Well, it was for about 100 years, torch red. But torch red fell off to number 4.
Black.
Really?
Black's number 2. Good old Arctic white.
Arctic white.
Arctic white last year and this year is Arctic white, and then black, and then probably gray. But the red mist I'm going to show you is probably going to be number 2 or 3. That's been a great.
That's right next to the blue?
Yeah, that's the red mist, and I think that's why the torch red fell off, because people are buying the red mist. In fact, there's one out on the lobby, red mist. Yeah, red mist. And there's a torch red out there, so you can kind of compare the two. I think people are getting tired of the torch red, and they just wanted to go to something a little bit different. But torch red's always going to be around. And then, of course, the yellow has been good. And actually, the orange has been better than what I thought it would be. They had it in C7, then they brought it back in C8. So
you know,
this
that black I have on that anniversary box, a metal flake.
Yes, it's a little bit. It's got that.
Kind of
it's got the. There's a name for it. It's not a solid black. It's got that little.
It has a metal flake. Or something.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of that. They did that in black and white only, but they wanted to make it a little bit different than the solid black. Got a little sheen to it or whatever. Yeah. Now this is the 62 that I wanted, or 64 I wanted to show you. It's called the Ugly Duckling because it looks like a duckbill here, so they nicknamed it. And this is the rear-mounted engine. They don't have this going around. They're supposed to be going around, but you can see the engine there in kind of red, orange. That was Zora Arkus-Duntov. He moved the engine, rear-mounted engine, and he was just kind of experimenting with this car. It's a concept car. It's not a production car. Boy, we were lucky. This car got donated to us, so that car, oh my gosh, that car would be priceless at an auction because they only built the one, and that was Zora Arkus-Duntov. Well, it is, and I don't know the official name of that color. I've been wanting to talk to the curator, and I keep forgetting to talk to him. I don't know the color. It's never been shown, well, close to it over here on the left, but I don't know what it is. I'd like to see that color come back, which they might do. Yeah. Sometimes they'll do that. Now, this is what it looks like on the inside. Some of you already know. There's 3 different seat options. This is just one. Different colors, of course. This is a 2-tone. The steering wheel they changed in 2020. They made it square. And then the paddle shifters. Now, the reason for that is, as you guys know, they don't build a manual transmission. They stopped that in 2020. When they moved the engine from the front to the back, that took care of the manual because it didn't have the performance. It's only automatics. You can get an automatic from C7 or C6 or whatever, but not the mid-engine. And I don't think you're going to see it in 2026. either. I just don't see it.
I don't know how you can manual shift any better than what it does.
No, it doesn't. And that's why you don't need the manual. You really don't. They didn't miss it at all because the performance on the car, like you said, you really don't need it. And you have the paddle shifters there that you use too.
There's been a lot of driver error too.
Yeah. Well, we have some people that want a manual, and I said, well, you don't really need it in the mid-engines, but you really don't. they don't trust me on that, but you really don't. You have to drive it to see. Now, the full-scale clay modeling, that was Zora Arkus-Duntov. Excuse me, Harley Earl. Harley Earl came up with that many, many years ago. Now, they do a little bit of this, but not a lot anymore. They talk about it here. They actually use clay to model the car, and that was what Harley Earl was doing back in the early 50s. And they're still doing some of that, Ford Motor Company and General Motors, but not a lot. Now, let me show you a couple of cars that are priceless that we own. Earlier, I told you about the L88. Some of you heard about the L88. They only built 116 of these. I don't know how many is left in the world, probably not that many. This will produce up to 540 horsepower. It's mainly a track car. No radio, no power steering, no air conditioning, mainly for track. We took the panels off there so you could see that. And this is on loan. We will not get a donation from this man. There was an L88, 1967. They only built 20. There was a gentleman that had the only blue in the world, and it was verified through General Motors, and it was in perfect condition. Well, it was an L88 67. He took it to Mecum auction last year, sold it for $1,650,000. You can Google it. It'll be on your phone. $1,650,000. I don't know what these cars would sell for. I mean, it depends on how many's left. I mean, it'd be up there. It'd be in the six figures. That car's priceless. That's Zora Arkus-Duntov's car. His name's on the inside of that door. He signed his name, Zora Arkus-Duntov. That's a 74, and they donated that to us. And he was the original owner of that car. 1 year before his retirement, General Motors donated the car to him. So we're kind of working on the engine. As soon as that's finished and this is finished, they'll probably take him out to the Sky Dome. But we're very lucky to have that car donated. I don't know what that car would be worth either, being Zora Arkus-Duntov. And this one here will go back to the owner. I'd like to see what that would sell for, though, compared to the L88 67. I don't think it'd be $1 million, but you know, never know. Anybody been to Mammoth Cave? No? Okay. Great tours up there. And the reason this happened, I'm going to show you this hole. It's been repaired, but there's a video here, and it kind of tells you about the Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is the longest cave system in the world, 426 miles long. What happened, and they kind of show you on the video, there was a lot of water down there. Our engineers, when they got down that hole, they saw a lot of water, a lot of erosion, and then the weight of the cars that fell in. And then they go in, the engineering goes into a little more in depth to it. But that's basically what happened. It's 35 feet deep. Now there's the blue car that we saw at the start of our tour. The 62 black car, that we're able to restore that one. And then there's the millionth car right there, the left one, the white one. I'm going to show you that car. That car was beat up pretty bad. That's the 1/1,000,000th car that came off the assembly line across the street. That was a pretty important car, and we were able to restore it. But only 3 cars were restored. The other 5 looked like this. They went down all the way down 35 feet. And what they had to do is bring engineers in here to figure out how to get these cars up, because it never happened before. So they used these pulleys, and it kind of shows you this too. The main thing was safety. They want to make sure they, get all the cars up and nobody got hurt. And by the way, this could have been a lot worse than what it was. It happened at 6:30 in the morning, so none of our guests were here, none of our employees, so nobody got hurt. And then the main thing is this dome I'm going to show you, that red dome. If that would have fallen, it would have been bad news. Probably would have wiped out the museum, because it's a pretty big dome. But it stayed right there. It went all the way around it. 88 feet wide, 35 feet deep. And mainly it was the water and the erosion and Mammoth Cave and all of that. So, well, Betty is in our library, and she's there today. You ought to go in there and say, "Hey, Betty, I hear you refer." She came in at 6:30 in the morning, and she was walking back this way, and she called the fire department because she thought the place was on fire. Thought it was smoke, but it was dust. Of course, the fire department came, and the police came, and the engineers came. Everybody came. In fact, our CEO thought the roof fell in, because this hadn't happened before. And then, of course, boy, from then on, it was something else. But this made international news. Yeah. It absolutely did. In fact, the year after that, we tripled our business. So we're looking for another No, don't tell me. No, I shouldn't say that. Now, this is the Hall of Fame. They do this every year. What they do, this is not quite finished yet, but we put their pictures up here. You might know some of these people. This is the enthusiasts. These are General Motors employee and race car drivers. One from each category they do every year. And it's an honor to be in the Hall of Fame. General Motors, they will pick the individuals. Inside the dome, there's a little video of how they pick them and how they do that, but there's 3 every year. Now we'll go down this way. What you're going to see on this video, this is a wraparound video. What you're going to see up there are movies, movie stars, astronauts, Indianapolis 500, anything that has to do with Corvettes, you're going to see it up here. This is not quite finished yet, but I'll talk about this video here in just a minute. But I want you to see this 1/1,000,000th car. Right around the corner, we're going to go to the left. This car went down about 20 feet and it was damaged pretty good. If it had gone all the way down 35 feet, we couldn't have done anything with it. It had been crushed. Rocks and dirt would have come down on it. But it went about 20 feet. It says 1/1,000,000th on the windshield, 1/1,000,000th on the seat. This is the 1/1,000,000th car that came off the assembly line across the street in 1992. They spent 1,200 hours on this car, General Motors, and you'll see them working on it here in just a second. About everything had to be repaired on this car. It took them 4 months, 1,200 hours, there it is. And then we were very lucky. We got the car donated to us, so we own the car today. So that car would be worth a lot of money too, because it's the 1/1,000,000th car. So we're lucky that it didn't go all the way down, because we couldn't have done anything with it then. But there they are, they're repairing it. So now this right across here, this is the right-hand side drive car. They started doing this in 2020. They did not build a right-hand side drive car before that. But we do have customers in Japan, South Africa, Australia, and some other places. Kind of expensive to do this. Regulations are different over there. And two, you have shipping and you have taxes. So it gets kind of expensive to ship this car to the owners. Did anybody ever see that movie, Cars? I've been told that's a great movie, but anyway, that's a fairly recent movie. But anyway, it's about 9% of the production. It's not a big part of their business, but they are building a right-hand side drive car. And then that's the hybrid car, and the battery's behind the driver's seat, and that's a convertible. We see as many convertibles as we do coupes, and that's very unusual. The other generations, that was not the case, but the reason for that is you can take the top down or up driving about 30 miles an hour, they tell me, 25 miles an hour. You just press a button on the inside. Do you have a convertible? Does somebody have a convertible? No, okay. You just press the button on the inside and it all just folds in and out, and you don't have to get out of your car to take the top off. So it makes it real convenient. And this is the E-Ray. This is the red mist, by the way. I love that color. This car starts at about 106. Most of the buyers that I've talked to have about 120 to 150 in it. Not as expensive as the 1,064 horsepower.
Are they delivering these now?
Yeah, oh yeah. They delivered it last year. This was last year. What they're delivering now is 1,064 horsepower. They just started delivering it, but this was last year. They started in 2024, yeah.
Well,
we've seen a lot of these.
Is the new hybrid car electric as well?
Well, the 1,064 is not, but the 1,250 horsepower is a hybrid. It's going to be a hybrid. Yeah. Hope they never make a total electric. I don't think they will. But somebody was talking about an SUV. Well, I haven't heard that either. Who knows? But I didn't think they'd ever build a 1,064 horsepower either, but they are. But this car here, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.5 seconds. So it's a fast car. Not as fast as the 1,064 horsepower, but it get up there and move. It's got 665 horse. Has anybody ever seen that, Terms of Endearment?
I have.
Jack Nicholson and Shirley MacLaine, she's going to put the brakes on. You remember him flying off into the ocean? Yeah. Or the stunt double. I don't think it's Jack Nicholson, but but he's going to fly off there. That was a pretty popular show.
Yeah.
Of course, those are two great actors too, you know. That makes a difference. But she's going to put the brakes on. There he goes. So that's it. Now that's the 70th anniversary car. That I was telling you earlier, they built that 2 years ago. They decided to do something special for the 70th because that was a big year. So this is the 70th. It got the Z06 engine. So and this is the 70th that you own. Somebody owned it. 70th anniversary.
23?
Yeah, 23. This is the 23 70th, and you can see that black that you were saying. It's a little bit different.
That's it. Yeah,
it got that sparkle to it.
Mine's not a Z06, mine's just a regular.
Just a regular, yeah. But I think the black and they only made two colors, black and white.
I tried to get a Z06, I couldn't get it.
Well, at that time, there was a waiting list. In fact, they even had to cut off orders. Well, today, you can get a Z06. We see a lot of Z06s. You can get them within 3 months. But Z06s are very popular, just because of the engine, I guess. I don't know. They run more money. But anyway, and then spatial wheels. They had the spatial wheels and interior. But
That's the flag right there.
yeah. Now, do you know anything about, I got to tell you this story. Does anybody know about the 83, the most valuable car in the museum? I think it is. Do you know anything about that? Well, they built 43, but they had some horrible problems. They didn't have the quality control across the street like they have today. So what they had to do, General Motors came to Bowling Green and they closed the assembly plant. They said, we've got a major problem here. We got to take our engineers back to Detroit. But they had 43 cars. So what are you going to do with them? Well, there was an individual that I got to talk to, and he was in charge of crushing the cars. And what he did, he crushed 42 of them. This car here, he took it in on his own, and it was raining out the next day, and he didn't want to get his brand new pair of boots wet. So he took this car and he hid it, put a tarp over it, then he told General Motors about it. So what I'm getting at, this is the only 83 in the world. They built 43 cars, they crushed 42, he decided to keep this one. This is the only one in the world. It's priceless. Now, it's a piece of junk, really. I mean, you wouldn't drive it. Look at the gap in the door. That could never happen today. And the Crossfire engine was not good at all. There was some individual problems with the admission, so it was just a bad year. And they made it through it. I'm surprised they did, but only 83. Boy, a collector would love to have it, but they'll never sell it. We built this for you all. You ever seen that movie, that Star Trek? That little kid that just jumped out of the car? That's Captain Kirk when he was little, and that's about 2001. So we built this for you all to look down. This is about 35 feet deep. Now, what they did, what we had to do is bring some engineers in here. And this is 35 feet, but they went 200 feet to repair everything. They did them with these micro piles, and they went through the rock all the way down 200 feet. You're probably standing in the safest place in Bowling Green. This won't happen here yet, not here. From that car, that 54, all the way to here. This is what fell in, all the way. But that dome, if that would have fallen that way, it would have been bad news. It would have wiped out the...
Poor Betty.
Poor old Betty, yeah. Yeah, go in there and say, hey, Betty, I hear that you came in on that. She'd love it.
You caused the fall.
Yeah, that's right. Betty, tell her that. Say, Betty, you're the one.
Is this a concept car down there?
Oh, this one right here is a Transformer. And Revenge of the Fallen, that's the car that was in the movie, the Transformer movie right here.
Oh, really?
And that was built by General Motors in Detroit. And it's just on loan right now for us. So, yeah, that's the one and only. They built that there. It's called the Revenge of the Fallen. Has anybody done this simulator up by the admissions? There's two cars up there, C7, C8.
I watched them.
It's different. If you do that, the steering is very, very sensitive. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Very sensitive on the steering. Barely turn it. You can go 150 miles an hour, but don't do this or you'll be all over the course.
I averaged 74.
Yeah, is that right? You're not a speedster, huh?
Well, it was just tricky.
It's real tricky. It's like a video game. The ones that do really well up there are kids. Kids do real well. Adults don't do real well because they don't play video games. This is Brad Paisley. He's came out with a new album. He's loaning his car to us. Oh, I got to tell you this. If you ever buy a Corvette, do the buyer's tour, and that's where we take you over to the assembly plant. We go over there with you and we take pictures of your car being built all the way through. It takes about a day and a half, and then we put all that in an album for you. It's called the buyer's tour. It's pretty neat, and he does that when he comes to Bowling Green. I don't know how many cars he's got. This one's on loan, so that's pretty neat. And then if you want to build your own engine, you can do that too when it opens up. It's a huge area where they build the engines. We set you up with a technician, and that technician is going to watch everything you do. You're going to build your engine that goes in your car, and then there's a plate that they put on the engine with his name on it, the technician, and it's $5,000 to do that. Just $5,000. What the heck, you know. Reggie Jackson owned this at one time. He doesn't today. This has been donated to us. This is the official pace car. We're lucky to get this. It's going to be in the video right here in a minute, but Corvette was the pace car 17 times in Indianapolis 500. So we're very lucky to have that car donated to us. It was owned by him at one time, years ago, and you'll see it up here in the video. That's a 53. That goes way back. That's an old movie there. And then George Jones, the country and western singer, two-tone, owned that. We own that today. And some of you remember the race, space race, back in the 60s, Jim Lovell. Did you ever see Apollo 13? It was Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks played Jim Lovell, and he owned this car at one time. And we have his gloves and his medallion that went up on the spaceship. But that was a big deal, the space race, back in the late 60s. So, and it's on, that car's owned by somebody in Lexington today, Lexington, Kentucky. That's I don't know what year that was, but everything's Corvettes. And then Roy Orbison, he loaned our car to us, but I think that's going to be donated to us. We've had it for several years. He owned several Corvettes. That's the last Corvette that he owned before he passed away. Of course, his big song was Pretty Woman and some of the others. But we're going to own that car. It has very few miles on it. And then this car, believe it or not, is about 30 years old. It was donated to us by Walt Disney, or Disneyland in California. And Disneyland opened up in 1955. This is the 1964. So they donated it, a few years ago. It was a ride they had out there, and it does run. It's got 7 horsepower. It's got brakes on the side. That's pretty neat. There's Brad Paisley singing his new song. I think that's one of his new ones. And then Jerry Lee Lewis, the crazy guy, Great Balls of Fire, and a whole lot of loving. I don't know if you know about Jerry Lee Lewis, a little crazy, a little nutty. But anyway, he was a great piano player. But the problem Jerry Lee Lewis had on this car is that he didn't pay his income taxes. So in 1980, the IRS confiscated the car from him. That's what it says on the bottom, which doesn't surprise me because he did some crazy stuff. But anyway, good musician. But anyway, he doesn't own the car today. It's a 54. Somebody else owns it. They had to auction it off. So, anybody familiar with it? Callaway? Have you ever heard about Callaway? This just was donated. You probably have. It was donated to us. This is a pretty special car. We got this car about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't realize it when it was donated to us. This is the first car that they built out of 184. So this car would be pretty priceless, but it's a Callaway twin turbo. Mr. Callaway was kind of building these cars in a garage, and then he came out in 1977, doing that in 77. Then in 84 they came out with a car, and this is like, or 87, and they only built 184 of them, and this is the first one. So we were lucky to get this car donated. He was quite the mechanic. General Motors were very impressed with him. So. Now, inside of this dome, it kind of tells you about how they pick these individuals: Harley Earl, Bill Mitchell, and Zora Arkus-Duntov. Of course, obviously, I've been talking about them. But all the way around, they'll nominate 3 individuals every year. So that's an old movie too, Stingray. Don't know when that was. And they'll change this occasionally. They'll put something else up there. It's a pretty neat system. It wraps all the way around, and it only cost us $800,000. Now inside this, it kind of tells you about the Hall of Fame. We're going to go this way, and we're going to go in here, and then I'm going to turn you loose and let you do what you want. But if you want to go back to the racing, I would go this way and around, or the educational gallery, if you want to see that video of the assembly plant. Richard Prince is quite the photographer. On the other side of this sign here, there's all of his work. He travels all over the world. He's been doing this for 33 years. He works for Corvette Racing at present, but he's worked for other companies too. They just brought this car in about 2 weeks ago. No, about 2 days ago, because I haven't seen this car other than 2 weeks ago. But anyway, it's a Z06. I do want to tell you about this picture here. This is pretty interesting. Very interesting. You can see how dusty and dirty those cars are. Well, this was very unusual, and this happens occasionally. They'll find cars in a barn somewhere. There was a collection of 36 Corvettes that was assembled in 1988 and included one car from each model year. And as the sign says here, it's a collection of 36 Corvettes from 1953 through 1989. They found these cars in New York in a warehouse. Now, what they did, they rented a little, it was through a radio station, and the winner ended up buying one of the cars, got one of the cars. Then the cars were all sold to a pop artist by the name of Peter Max, and then Peter Max ended up selling the cars. I don't know what these cars would be worth once they're cleaned up. You can see a 63 split back window, but can you imagine all those cars? They were in that warehouse for 30 years. Never know. I mean, the owner could have passed away and didn't have a will. They didn't know, you know. And that sometimes that happens. They'll find cars somewhere in a barn somewhere sitting in there for years and years and years, worth a fortune. So, but I thought that was pretty amazing. And the reason I brought this up is Richard Prince took that picture. So that was pretty unique. But there was 36 Corvettes. And this was unusual. In 1966, they built 3 different blues. They've never done that before, but there's 3 different blues, and it kind of tells you about it here. Now, this car went over to Dubai Auto Show, way over there. There was a big celebration because they wanted this car over there. This is the last of the front engine cars. It's a 2019, it's a ZR1. And this is the last of this color. They came out with a new color, a new orange, but it's a little brighter than this. And I think there's one out on the boulevard. But anyway, this car is a front engine car. General Motors owns this. So I want to show you this car, and then I'm going to let you guys do what you want. Now, every one of these pictures will have a plate here, and it tells you this car is a C7 ZR1. It tells you where he took it in Wisconsin, the date, and so forth, even the camera. So if you're interested in the photography, this guy is really something else. He's been doing this for a long time. Now, this car here, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Sr., and Andy Pilgrim drove this car. And you'll see Sr. in this video. And what's kind of sad about this is about 2 weeks after this video was taken, he lost his life. There he is there. He lost his life in a race just about 2 weeks later. And it was the last lap of that race that he crashed. It was in 2001. And then it talked about the Rolex 24 Challenge 2, where 2 Corvettes came in first and second. But they show Senior there along with Junior. I don't think Junior's racing anymore. I think he's retired too, but that was in 2001. And there's Andy Pilgrim. In fact, Andy Pilgrim worked over to the Motorsport Park for a while. But it kind of tells you about it on the sign too. So if you want to go through the store, retail store, women's are on the left, men are on the right. And if you want to go back to the racing or the educational gallery to see the video, you're welcome to do that, or whatever you want to do. If keep your wristbands on. If you want to leave the building and come back, you can do that. You can go to your car and come back in if you want to do that. Those are good till 5 o'clock. I'm going to take your equipment. Keep your earbuds. Don't need those. We throw those away if you don't want them.